Please join me in welcoming Pat Furlong, President and CEO of Parent Project Muscular Dystrophy. Pat is a powerful advocate using her own experience to fight for medical progress and fight for others living with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Pat?
Thank you so much for inviting me to speak. I'm so proud to be a member of Research America and to work with you on all the important aspects of science and medicine. Long ago, my two sons were diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. It was a day I'll never forget, but it wasn't a day that surprised me in some ways. I had worried about the way they moved for a number of years. I went from doctor to doctor, expressing my concern about their muscle, worried that they didn't move as other children, and I was typically dismissed as these are growing boys and they'll grow into those muscles. There was a day when mothers gathered outside just to watch the kids play, and it was a hot summer evening. My son Chris decided he would try to ride his big wheel. As he pedaled his big wheel, something hurt him in his ankle, probably his Achilles tendon, and he just cried out in pain. I carried him home that night, rested with him all night while he really was in pain. And the next morning, we saw a physician friend of ours, an orthopedic surgeon. The surgeon walked out into the waiting room to greet us and took a look at me and took a look at Chris and said he has Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Abruptly, he looked at his toes and gave me a textbook description of this disease. It included the words loss of all muscle function, unable to lift his hand to his mouth, difficulty breathing, needing ventilation and support for ventilation, and death. I could barely get the words out of my mouth about where do we go? What is the treatment? When he answered again, still looking at his toes, there's nothing to be done. There's no treatment. There's no cure. And there's nothing to do but watch. Time became our commodity. Every minute counted with these boys. That's why I work with Research America. It is the promise of science. This is why we seek to unlock the mysteries of science and medicine. We are all here together so that we can change the trajectory of these conditions for all people diagnosed. It is the promise of science today. We are seeing the ability to look at a gene and identify that gene and look at its mutations and address those mutations specifically. In Duchenne muscular dystrophy, we have 4 approvals and many more to come. This is the advent of gene therapies where we're delivering in Duchenne a microdystrophin using an adeno-associated virus. It is the miracle of science we're seeing, and we believe that science will win. Some of you have never been involved in advocacy, and some of you have. But advocacy is the way to raise your voice, to make sure that those who represent us in Washington, D.C. don't just think about science as a research project, but think about science as change of a trajectory, meaning for patients, value for patients, lives that can last long, and many years. It means the change for children from perhaps dying early to living long lives, to becoming adults and caring for their patients. This is bigger than politics. This is a fight for progress, with time as our commodity for every single person diagnosed. By raising our voices together and in unison, we will move the needle on scientific progress. Science will win, and we will deliver treatments and one day a cure for all of those we love.